Are we actually online or are we? We are online, we are live. Thank you for your patience. We haven't used our Zoom account for some time. It requires reboot and too much things, which we hadn't counted on doing. So apologies. So welcome back, everyone, to our September meeting. We're back after some break, and lots to talk about. We will have our presenter tonight. Will be Bill Ferguson. Anyone from Bill's? We go. Is he on the device?
Yeah, 7:30.
Okay. We had two presenters scheduled for tonight, and one of them is to make it. So Bill will have more time, which is good because Bill can probably use lots of time. So it's all good. So as I said, welcome back. First thing for tonight is just a reminder: our board elections are coming up in January 21st will be our January meeting, and our elections, and that, of course, will be the big item for that day. Probably still have a presenter. As a reminder, we do not have a proper meeting in December. It's more of a holiday thing. So we get together and things. We can talk business if we want to. If there's anything new coming up or discussion about the election, we can just have these conversations then. But it's more of a meet and greets. We've got today, October, and November, real discussion before then. But we would like to encourage everybody to consider serving on with the community association, whether it's a career board member or take on some projects in the block, whatever the case may be, because we have one of the sports programs. We all live here and we all have things we want to do. And Highland Town Community Association is here to help. We're here to do it for you. We are here to help in the name of you, financial advice or whatever the case may be. So Mark, there are some slides on there on the screen. Would you find one that discusses crime rate? Yep, well, that's the first two. Right. So the police department is urging everybody to report certain kinds of crime by either the telephone crime reporting system, the TRU, or through their website, which is on the second of those two slides. It is www.baltimorepolice.org/file-police-report. Those are all lowercase. And that allows you to get in and report some crimes. And there are certain distinctions as to how they want to do this, because obviously, if something is happening right now, if it is an emergency, that is a 911 call, no doubt about it. If it is a police non-emergency thing, that is a 311 call or report through the app. And I tell everybody the app and the phone is an easy way to do it, because report on this app, it's just look up and see what the history on all of the reports are. But for tonight, we want to focus on crime reporting. So citizens can self-report crimes under the following circumstances: the incident is not an emergency. There are no known suspects. Something's happened which anyone wants. There are no known witnesses. In other words, you can report something, the police don't have to get there in order to talk to somebody who has seen it, or they, leave and become hard to find. Crime is not in progress or has not occurred within the last 30 minutes. Well, obviously, if it is in progress, you're able to report it. That's the incident is not a hate crime or a bias. I think that's the kind of thing that they really want an opportunity to come out and look for evidence for, that they really want to pay attention to with the person on the ground. The incident did not occur on a state freeway. So I-95, parts of I-95 and parts 895 are within Baltimore city limits, but they are both controlled by the Maryland Transportation Authority Police Department. So that is outside of the jurisdiction of the Baltimore City Police Department, even if it's within the city limits. The incident is not domestic related. It's a domestic issue that needs to be reported by 911. And there was no injury or threat of bodily harm. So these are all slightly lower in at least the sense of an ongoing crisis. If it's an ongoing thing, again, that's a 911 call. You want to get somebody out there as quickly as possible. The reason they want to do this is, as we all know, response times for police departments varies pretty wildly. We have something that, you call the police, they're there in 3 to 5 minutes, but then you always hear the stories about where, they call the police and show them 45 minutes. Well, that's because they're doing something else. And this approach to an alternate way to report crime actually frees up officers to do something that is an emergency. And this will give you a police report. This is an official police reporting process. And part of it has, it's not very satisfying to do something like this. It's satisfying when you call this police officer shows up and you go in your ranks and tell them what happened. And there's somebody there to answer some questions and make you feel better. It is a little less satisfying. The fact is, if a crime has occurred hours ago, if a crime doesn't have any evidence, if a lot of these exceptions that I list off, if these are the situations, the criminal is no longer there. Having a police response come to your house to kind of hold your hand and make you feel better actually takes them away from something else. So this is kind of the direction that they want to go, and there are good reasons to do so, even though it is not entirely satisfying when you've been the victim of a crime to have to do this and, figure it goes into a hole in the ground where you will get a police report number. So this is the way to go, moving forward. It is obviously important to report these things, because if you neglect to report on something that happened a couple of hours ago, something that feels kind of low level to you don't expect to get your property back or your property repaired or anything of that sort. Sort of an inclination is to say, I'm not going to do this because nothing's going to happen. But what does happen when you make any 911 report or a police-related 311 report, or even a city services 311 report, it builds a hotspot history at that location, which brings police attention or city attention or whatever to that location. So to do this, well, it's not always satisfying in the moment. It really does bring resources to us, and it's important to do so because, otherwise nothing happens. They'll all complain that nothing happens. So there's ways to do it, and here's a series of good ways to do it. There is also the police department tips. Mark, can you scroll? There's a resources slide. There you go. In the middle box on the right-hand side, you see SED, which stands for Southeast District Tips at baltimorepolice.org. If you have evidence, anything, tips, something that you want to share with the police department, this is where it goes. A lot of people have ring cameras, other kinds of cameras in homes, and you can upload things to the police department. And this is not for reporting. This is ideally for sending tips along and something else that you know is happening. Say that car was broken into down the street, or there's carjacking, and you've got evidence from your camera. or something like that. This is that kind of thing. If you do have a police report number, it can go in the body of the email, along with the pictures, video clip, whatever that you have as evidence. So this is more of submitting evidence. So that's kind of what I have. We do have one event here to discuss, and maybe we may have something to offer on this when the time comes. When I open the floor, but the 5th annual Latino Cultural Festival is coming up in Paris on October 7th and 8th from 11 to 7. There is a parade on Sunday the 8th, starting at 2 o'clock. And am I right? It's starting by the Walgreens.
Yep, it's starting on the 4,000 block by the Walgreens, and I believe lineups at 1.
Lineups at 1, parade steps out at 2 o'clock. It's a lot of fun, actually. I wasn't sure what to expect when I last saw it, but it was quite the event. As everyone was walked in it with a Highland Town banner. Kirk and Natalie were with us for that. I was fun. I remember who else. The 4 of us walked with the Highland Town banner. Vanessa. Okay. So anyway, that's coming up, and we can participate as an organization. If we can get 4 or more people to come out and actually walk with the parade with their banner. If we can join us out on the CSC, right? And
well, I'm going to say you're going to join the Highlandtown Arts District.
We're going to join the Highlandtown Arts District,
which you're a part of anyway.
Yeah. So, but anyway, there's opportunities for that, and I have a banner, and I will plan to be there on Sunday at 1 o'clock, and hopefully there'll be some people who want to join us to represent us. You know, this association has been around for decades, and we have had almost no real ongoing interaction with our Latino neighbors, and this community is a quite significant, maybe up to 40% Latino population, and there are problems, the same problems that we have. Trash around us, they have crime issues, and there's no reason in the world we should have more representation from the Latino community in this room. So if you've got a neighbor, invite them to these meetings. If you want to walk in the parade and say, and you know, in a parade is really designed to celebrate Latino culture. We can participate in it, and we can use that as sort of a springboard to invite people into this room to be part of our association, because you know what's more important than just getting more people out there that should all share similar problems and similar values. So anyway, the festival will be a lot of fun, and the parade is really cool too. So hopefully some people come back for that meet down by the Walgreens, and there will be a ton of people that have sets on the ground and find me or somebody else, you know, what this. That's the event that I have. Keith, do you want to?
Hey everybody. Typically when you see me up here, it's usually for one reason only, and that does not change this evening. I am here to talk about the Highlandtown Basement Bar Tour. It essentially is our annual home tour throughout Highlandtown. The way it works is we get a bunch of host houses together, we give each one of them a stipend of $200. They're expected to offer some kind of alcoholic beverage and some kind of food. And attendees show up, get their tickets the day of. We give you a map. That map has every house dotted on it, as well as a bunch of businesses that also participate. And then at 2 o'clock, when the clock strikes, we send you out on your way, and you hit house to house to house. Imagine being on a full day, wandering around the neighborhood with a bunch of house parties, and you're invited to every single one of them. So the event is it's November 11th, runs from 2 to 6 p.m. At 6 p.m., we shutter all the houses, funnel everybody over to a reception spot, to be determined this time around. Then from 6 to 8, we have a reception also with alcohol and food. It's just a big party. It gives everybody a chance and kind of running throughout the neighborhood all day long to get together in one spot. So all the friends you made over the day you get to see in one area in the evening. We are absolutely looking for host housing. So if you're interested in hosting, like I said, you got about 300 friends you haven't met yet that are just more than willing to come, stopping through your house and eat everything that you are willing to offer them. It sounds like I'm making it sound worse than it is. It is an amazing time. I cannot stress that enough. Like I said, November 11th runs from 2 to 6 and then from 6 to 8. You can get a hold of us at a Hindtown Basement Bar Tour at gmail.com or find us on Facebook at Hindtown Basement Bar Tour. You can shoot us a message there or send us an email if you're interested in participating either as a host or if you just have any questions.
Keith, is this event adults only?
This event is adults only. Thank you very much, Amanda. I did forget something. It is 21 only. We made that change a while ago to keep everybody safe. Yeah, I think that'll do it. Perfect.
Once you had a basement bar to host.
You do not have to have a basement bar to host. I appreciate that as well. So we call it the Hindtown Basement Bar Tour because back in the day, it was pretty common for people in the neighborhood to have like 12 basements. And so we're just kind of honoring that theme, but now it's everything from like tricked out carports to, you know, an actual basement and showing off the rooftop deck or however you want to show off how you can entertain. Does not have to be held in the basement. But thank you for it. Anybody else? No? All right, well, I really hope to see you guys there in one fashion or another. We will start selling tickets close to the end of October. We'll be signing out on our Facebook page. That is how we tend to communicate everything out. It's just easier. We post very infrequently there. So when we do post something, you'll see it pretty obvious. So we'll sell a handful of tickets online at first, and then the rest will be sold day up. We try to break it up a little bit just for people that have difficulty getting to their computer or their phone when they go in sale online, because they tend to sell out very quickly. Okay, I think that does it. Anyway, I think Keith, thank you guys very, very much.
Yeah, you're over here. All right, and for the record, it is one of our 2 big fundraisers here in Hindtown, and it is a ton of fun because as Leslie knows, when we walk a dog through the neighborhood, we can start and like, we don't want to snoop at the same time. It's like, well, that's cool. So this allows me the opportunity to come into people's homes and generally when anybody's hosting this thing, it's because they've done something really cool for their house, they're proud of it. They just like hosting parties, whatever the case may be. And every house is a lot of fun. And to my recollection, of years I've been on it, there's not actually a basement bar. So and it's done fun. And you, I will post this.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, my kitchen is literally a piece.
No.
Oh, you?
Yeah. I don't. I went to twice before and it was really a blast to do it. It's also a blast to walk around and take a tour. So just kind of participating is a lot of fun. So hope to see everybody there. So at this point, I'll open up the floor to board members. Any board members have anything to offer? Okay, and then I'll open the floor up to general comments, and I imagine Amanda has something.
Sure.
That's why she's here.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? I'm Amanda St. Peters. I am your Hindtown Main Street manager. I also support the Hindtown Arts District. We turned 20 this year. You're in an arts district. Yeah. You might have seen me in some cards. We walked them door to door for you all because we love you all so much. We wanted you to see them. Lots of events happening. I'm here tonight, and for those who don't know, the Highlandtown Main Street and Highlandtown Arts District are programs of a nonprofit called the Southeast Community Development Corporation. So when you hear a lot of these acronyms, Southeast CDC going around, and I'm like, why are you using different names? That's why Southeast CDC is our parent organization. We have a number of programs, including housing counseling and also some neighborhood support programs, including these wonderful programs that support artists and businesses in your community to help build the economic vitality of these neighborhoods. So we're just one piece of everything that all of us are here doing to make our neighborhoods vibrant places where we all want to live. Okay, that's the background. Today I'm here to talk about just some events. I have this great save the date. I will walk it around to you after so that I don't want to leave extra paper. So if you don't want one, it's okay. You can find everything on our website. This list is the family fun event. So there are lots of events happening in Highlandtown. These are just a few that we wanted to highlight. And the biggest is that, again, as part of our 20th anniversary celebration, you may have seen us out at events. We have been making scales for a large, giant snake lantern / puppet because Highlandtown used to be called Snake Hill. And so we have a large snake that we are building. It is very exciting. We're working with Chester Creates to build that. It is coming together, and we are going to walk it in 2 parades. One is the parade Brian mentioned earlier, the Fiesta Baltimore and the Parade of Latin Nations, or the Fiesta Baltimore Parade. I don't actually know the name of the parade itself, Fiesta Baltimore, and that's on Sunday, October 8th. It's only on Sunday. Brian gave the dates earlier. You are all welcome to also walk with us if anyone wants to help carry a snake. If we want to combine areas, we're going to also get some candy and hand it out. It's a daytime event, so it's lovely. You know, you don't have to be tripping in the dark. It's awesome. And then we're going to trip in the dark and the great Halloween trip. We will not once. And that is Saturday, October 21st. With a rain date of Sunday, October 21st, they always have a rain date. It's in Patterson Park, and the parade walks all the way up. It has a route through the park. I believe it does not go through the little park anymore. So for those who were not there last year, it has changed route. So make sure you know your route if you think you want to watch it. But you can also help walk our awesome snake lantern in that parade. So I don't know if you've seen my muscles. They're not large, so we really need some help. And also just come out to those events. They're great. The Halloween Lantern Parade walks out a kids contest, kids costume contest that I am often a judge of, and that is earlier in the day during the festival. So the festival before the parade, and then the parade. It is very long, fun day. The festival, I believe, starts at 3:30 is what I have written down. I hope that time is right. I hope it's a 3:30 festival. If I'm wrong, I apologize. And then the parade is at 7:30. So it's, or 7. Maybe just go to the Creative Alliance website. It's the best thing to do. They have all the time. Okay, a few other events just to mention. Trick or Treat on Main Street is coming up. Well, if you have little ones, you can trick or treat before it gets dark from 3 to 6 p.m. along businesses along Eastern Avenue. We'll have more information about that on our website. And then we also have coming up, in case I don't come back in October, November, Small Business Saturday is on Saturday, November 25th. And that is the day we can come out and support small businesses. We normally have some kind of giveaway. This year, we're going to be set up at Dreamers and Make Believers. So you can come there, get your goodies, shop for the day. It's always the Saturday after Thanksgiving. The Highlandtown Train Garden will be open again this year. They're opening on Small Business Saturday, and they will have, normally it's like weekend hours, and then the week of Christmas, between Christmas and New Year, they're open. They are not open on Christmas Day. And then, of course, on Friday, December 1st, we will have a big celebration with the tree lighting and our art walk and favorite Santa that we know and pictures with him. And it is a lot of fun. So that is on December 1st. Typically, it's always outside of the library, and there's a big tree and it's a great lighting. So this list of events is here. We also have art walks on the first Friday in October and November and December. So there's a lot going on in Highlandtown. I hope that you'll come out. And also, if you are saying to yourself, wow, I really wish that event had this going on with it, and I know how we can do that, please contact me. I am not a mind reader, but I would love to, especially at our holiday event. If Santa's not your thing and you think we should be making a note to another winter holiday celebration, please let us know. We are happy to recognize other things outside of a tree and a Santa. I just need a little extra help to see it happen. So if you've got ideas, don't just call and say, why don't you? Actually, give me some resources. What does that look like? What could it be? We are really open to making sure that the events that we're celebrating in our community are representative of the people here. So if you feel like you don't see yourself in these events, have a conversation with us. We're not here to say what it has to be. We're here to make sure that you all are represented. So I think that's it. And wait, I have one last one. And this is back to Brian and the parades. I really do believe when we have events that are put on by the people of our community who maybe don't celebrate the things we do, it is really important to attend. I know I saw some of my neighbors out at the TNPSLE event of the Creative Alliance on Saturday when Little Amal walked through, which was amazing. And it's really a moment where even if it's something that you don't understand or feels different to you, it's okay. That's how we get to know each other and create opportunity for dialogue and discussion. So the best part of all these events is they're not hard to attend. No one's expecting anything out of you. Just come and walk through. Have a bite to eat of something that might be different. Enjoy some music from something you might not normally hear, or a dance that you might not normally see. So it's an easy way to get to know our neighbors and cheer them on and say, we appreciate you and we're all glad we're here together. So I just wanted to say that. So these parades, these events, they're not put on to push anybody out. They're put on so that all of us can better understand each other.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark. I'm pastor here at Brethren God Church. First of all, welcome. Our residents are down in the direction, down the stairs, down that way. The ladies are down that way. Manager, actually down that way for the building-use, single-use facility. Sorry, that's at the beginning. You can follow the text on it, so I'm over here. This is your invitation to part of the community on October 1st. We left the animals, you went to the stand at 1 p.m. to Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. in the park, just side track from Elwood. So just a few blocks down out of the closest portion of the parks here. And so do bring a furry or feathered or scaly or whatever friends with you out to the park that day. October 22nd, our October Fest celebration here that we've done for a number of years now. There's German beer on tap, there's all kinds of German food, including salmon dumplings using Hausner's recipe, which is a really famous restaurant. Got free here at Clinton Street in Eastern for a very long time. During that and other fine productions. That's $20 fundraising for our preschool. I have a preschool which is located in Anita. And $20 for adults. It is $10 for kids 6 to 17, and free for younger kids. Children's activities are good, so the kids run around for something to do. So that's October 22nd. Again, it's Monday afternoon, 12:30 to 4 o'clock. But as I mentioned to you, where you can fire the tour up 7 houses on 3 o'clock South Robinson, just like 92 weeks ago, I think, at all, maybe 2.5 weeks at this point. 2.5 weeks, a week, that Thursday. And so I continue to stay in touch with the family small thing. Senator Kurt Tyler, Senator Kurt's also really good about reaching out. Senator Cole's also really good about connecting. So you can ask them to help coordinate support for families. At this point in time, the family, no families names. Other than people all like ask for help, no one say the need for I need X amount of furniture or food or clothing. And part of it is to take off on that permanent housing where they can build this stuff up, right? So at some point maybe it needs almost like people in general seem pretty well assured in their insurance process and moving forward, which is a really good thing. So that's just a reminder for your renting friends, the importance of rental insurance always pops up when we have fires here in Hangtown. If you're interested in making a donation, we're glad to receive that, and we're sharing equally among all the families. Said we all the families impacted the house said listen and share the other ones we need them, we're in good shape. So it's split equally among them. If you go to the website lc.org and look on how to help, there's a link there for that. We're going to try to cut those checks this week. So I mean if money comes in after, we can send them along, but if we'd like to do it in one lump sum, we can. So I think this is that.
Oh, you're right. Oh, sure. Yeah.
I will invite Mark back in a couple of minutes. Anything else from the board?
Just
Please.
Hi, my name is Jason Haysler, and I live right outside that 138 but more important than that, I am a math teacher at Patrick High School, which is the high school that is close to Island County. And in addition to being a math teacher, I am the school, family, and community council coach, along with Leah Reed from the Y. And I'll be at the meetings partly because I live right there, and partly because it's part of my job at school. But the one thing that I want to mention is that coming up when this early, although not that early, it's the week after the baseball board. We have a school play. Typically, these events with brand new school acts, but typically when I go, there are a handful of teachers, a handful of friends, people that are in the production, a few family members, and we have 600 to the auditorium. A week ago, I was at the Bayview and the school communities petitioning, and they committed to sending 10 people, at least 10 people. What I'd like to do to support our young people is to try to get as many people in that auditorium as possible. They put a lot of effort into it, and really means a lot to them. We would like to share that with our community. While Patterson's not in Highlandtown, we do have also 100 students from Patterson in Highlandtown and in and around. You've probably seen us at 12,000. Everyone moved around now, we're all back to school and starting before then. So I'll be back again next month, and again early November to remind you. I would really like if we commit to sending a good Highlandtown contingent to Patterson to support the students when they put on their fall project. It is it's really folks. It is a total adjacent product. It's short pieces from Edgar Allan Poe. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic, and our students will love their school. So hope to see you there.
What's the date?
It is the 16th and 17th, or 15th and 16th.
Thursday, Friday?
Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday, 15th, 16th.
15th, 16th of November.
Oh, we didn't take it.
Tickets to be available on your tickets are super cheap. $5. Tell me no name.
What is your name again?
My name is Jason Haysler.
Okay.
And I have to share my contact information if you'd like to volunteer or otherwise involved. It's really
wonderful to clarify as we go to the performing arts largely because students as we learn to do
it's really good. Also, why it is the outcome. Thank you.
Cool. Would you if you have some links, promotional stuff, can you send it to us?
I'm sorry.
If you have some links, and some promotions, would you send it to me?
Not yet. We're in the process of. Miss Ritter, our drama teacher, is in the process of producing. It's all of that is student produced. So we're in week 4. We're getting the drama club together. We had auditions last Wednesday and Thursday.
Got it.
So all of just getting cranky. But I know as we get into the winter season, we all get busy. We have the bar tour. We have a lot of other events going on. So I want to make sure it's on everyone's radar.
Yeah. Send it to us at islandtown2124@gmail. Islandtowners code at gmail. Comes to me, we'll get a call. Socials, we're not on our site. Talk about next month if you're not here. Whatever needs to be there. Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Anything else on the floor?
We have something online we'd like to share. It's Catherine, right? Catherine.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Hello. Yes, my name is Catherine Savignago. I'm actually a new staff member for Councilman Z. Cohen's office. And so I'm still kind of familiarizing myself with like community associations and all, but I just wanted to let you know that I will be attending your monthly meetings. And so if there is anything that I can help with, or if you have anything you want to talk about, I'd be happy to chat. And yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that I'm here. So thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Would you also send your contact information to highlandtown2224@gmail, and I will save your contact information?
Yep, and I'll drop it in the Zoom chat as well.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. Anybody else online? All right. Dr. Nunnally, you have something for us? Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Larry Nunnally, better known as Dr. Nunnally or Doc. How are you doing, man? I didn't see you back there. I am your liaison for the Department of Public Works, which means that whatever issues or concerns that you may have with the Department of Public Works, I ask you to call 311 first, get your confirmation number. Once you get that confirmation number, I'd like you to text it to me. I'm going to give you my cell number as well as my email address, and send that to me and see if I can escalate whatever your issue is. I also, when I say DPW, I do 4-legged rats, not 2-legged rats. Nobody's laughing. Come on, guys. All right. Anyway, that's underwater and above water. We are your trash, we are your recycle. We just ask one big thing. That is that as you see neighbors trying to fill the recycle cans, please tell them to put recycle in recycle cans, because once they put trash in those recycle cans and you see them overflowing, the reason that recycle is not picking them up is because if it goes into the truck that they're driving and it goes to the center where they deliver this to, they will refuse the whole load. So we're asking that all of our neighbors reach out to their neighbors and let them know, hey, please don't do that, okay? I did live in the neighborhood in Highlandtown about 4 weeks ago. As you were talking about with the fires, we had a fire starter in my neighborhood that set a house on fire about 2 blocks from me. I happened to be in Michigan at the time, and then he decided to come by my house, set my house on fire, and then about 3 or 4 blocks away, set another fire. When they finally caught him, he said that his reason for setting the fires was he gets an urge. I wish I could have caught him to see about his urge, but that's another story. I handed out some flyers from the mayor's office. That is our Veterans Day parade. The Grand Marshal, Major General Janine L. Brickhead, the Adjutant General, Maryland National Guard, will be the Grand Marshal. We're asking that everyone come out on Friday, November 10th. That is the day before Veterans Day. And the parade begins at 12 noon. Washington Monument, Charles, and Senate. It will go all the way down to Baltimore Street and turn left and come down. We're asking everyone to participate. We're asking also that if you are a veteran and you know that you cannot walk the distance of the actual parade, because we're asking everybody to participate, please reach out to me, because we're going to provide transportation where you can ride in a trolley or some other vehicle that will allow you to participate and wave at your friends and family that will be on the sidelines. So we're just asking everyone to reach out and realize that at this time, our special day for our veterans is November 5th. Excuse me, November 10th. It's been a long day today. If anybody has any questions or concerns, I am going to be sticking around. My phone number is 443-615-2626. For those of you who don't have it, it is 443-615-2626. My email address is Larry, that's Larry .Nunley, NUNLEY at BaltimoreCity.gov. Larry.Nunley@BaltimoreCity.gov. Please, once you get that confirmation number, please reach out to me. It's a 24/7 number. All I ask you to do is call 311, get that confirmation number, and then reach out to me. If anyone have any questions, concerns, issues, please. Don't everybody fight over me. Yes, sir.
Just a question. If we have a neighbor who consistently has more garbage than they can fit in their trash can, is it possible for them to get a second trash can?
It's not going to happen at this time. That all those trash cans came as grants, trash and the recycled cans. He can get him another can, and we will pick it up, but we don't provide another can, as you see what you already have. But if you have, because we have many neighbors, and I have some of myself, where they wait until after the trash man comes, and they come out and dump trash. Just to let you know, there's a black bag sitting on the street, that's a $50 fine, and when what happens is code enforcement first, when you call 311 about it, code enforcement comes out first, not Department of Public Works. They come out, they open the bags to see if there's any addresses. If there's an address, you will get a fine for $50 per bag that you have. If you're not, in this case, before we had lids on top of our cans. Now the lid is part of the can, so you don't get that $50 ticket for not having the lid. But we try to put some enforcement in what we're doing to try to make sure that people will follow the rules. It is not that easy. We know we are truly working on extending or getting more than one day for or one every other day, every other week for our pickups. But we are working on that. They're looking into that now. One of the biggest problems with that is because of manpower. As many of you know, just about everywhere you look, someone is trying to hire someone. The city, agencies, all of us are hiring. So if you have someone who's sleeping on your couch that says you can't find a job, we are looking for him. Tell him to get up, come down, DPW, or they don't have to get up. They can just go online and look at any of our agencies, including police and fire department. We are all hired. Yes.
Do they have to speak English to work with DPW?
No, not necessarily. There are some jobs we're looking for interpreters, all of that. Now, when you say have to be able to speak, I said not necessarily. I have to qualify that. Let me stop on that. What I'd like you to do is if you have someone who is proficient in Spanish, French, Russian, we have a large contingency of all of those different nationalities here, actually in the immediate area, and we would like to talk to them. So please have them apply. Otherwise, if you apply and we say no, okay. But if you never apply, you said no. We will not know whether or not you qualify for something unless you step forward and let us know what your qualifications are. We are looking truly for people. And it's not like some people would ask me, what about guys who just got out of prison, or women who just got out of prison? We are hiring. There are avenues that can be taken that will allow our residents to be fully employed. So, any other questions or concerns or issues? Everybody has my number. Please use it. It's a 24/7 number. Meaning weekends, don't say he's busy. If it is ugly enough for you to be concerned, it is sure enough ugly enough for me to be concerned. So please contact me. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc. I want to reiterate two things. One, anytime you have a problem with the city service, always 311 first. Then you can send that number to Dr. Nunley. You can send it to your city council representative. You can do something with that. They're not here to do it for you. There is an avenue for you to take charge of your situation, and in a lot of cases, that's 311. Also, as Dr. Nunley said, we always need to thank our veterans. We always need to thank our police officers. We always need to thank our firefighters. So, and here we're coming up on Veterans Day, so it's pretty time. So, at this point, I'll hand it over to Senator Ferguson.
Thank you, Brian, as always, and to the members of the Town Board. Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you all. My name is Bill Ferguson. I've had the honor of serving you for the last 13 years now, and I have a bit of a changed role in that I still, the #1 priority is the 46th District, but also have the honor of serving as the President of the Senate. So I have a bit more of a statewide perspective these days and trying to help figure out the agenda for the state to move forward as effectively as possible. I'm going to be very mindful of time. I was told very strict 10 minutes, and so we're in a bit of an odd time in September because normally it would be sort of a post-session wrap-up that ended in April, but now we're sort of in the phase of getting ready for the next one. So something that sort of highlights where things are generally, and I think this is an important feature because it has played out for the last 9 months. This is the first time in Maryland history for at least the last 80 years where in one singular election we've had the turnover of a brand new governor, lieutenant governor, comptroller, attorney general, and treasurer all within the same year. That has not happened for 80 years. And it has been a pretty dramatic shift at every level of government in every place, at least at the state level. So that has really created a place for the legislature to really be the kind of established, known backboard for policymaking here in Maryland. And so I think that it has been a very unique period for the state, and it's an honor to be able to do this work. I do want to make sure that I point out, as many of you all know, our 3 delegates, Robin Lewis, Lou Clippinger, and Mark Eagleson, who's our newest member, who serves on the Judiciary Committee, which is one of the 6 standing committees in the House. Robin's on the Health and Government Operations, really focusing on healthcare and insurance issues and access. And then Mark is on the Appropriations Committee, the Money Committee over in the House. And so we have a great team, and we all work very closely together. I do want to also point out Tyler, who's in the audience today, Tyler McCurdy, who is amazing, does remarkable work for our office and for all of us to really help make sure that your problems are solved and that we can really do the most important thing, which is constituent services. So please never hesitate to reach out to us. It's the one part of the work that we know we actually get something right. If we solve a problem, we win. If we don't, we lose. So it's, all the rest of legislating is very fuzzy, but at least constituent services is you either do it or you don't. So very briefly, kind of last session highlight big issues. You should hopefully receive this in the mail. If not, Tyler just handed out a number of them. This gives really a pretty decent summary of the high-level issues. Some of the big ones were around focusing on reproductive rights and healthcare and making sure that privacy is enshrined in the state constitution. There will be a ballot measure in the 24 election because of the bill that we passed this year. And it was really important based on the Supreme Court that we in Maryland protect individuals' rights and privacy overall. And so It's certainly been a contentious issue, but in Maryland, I think it was overwhelmingly supported. I suspect it will be as well at the ballot box in November. November of 24, I should clarify. Secondly, the governor came in with a number of new initiatives, one that I'm really proud of, and one that I've worked on since 2016. We started a program called Maryland Corps, which was a year of service for anyone who wants to serve, and the governor enhanced it by doing a particular service year for young people. That actually just launched. The portal launched last month. They closed. They had over 500 applicants for young people between the ages of 17 and 22 to do a year of service for the state of Maryland. And it's a paid opportunity. There's a $6,000 stipend at the end. And really, I firmly agree with the governor on this one that service is what will save us. When we learn across lines of difference, it is the thing that changed my life dramatically. I've seen it happen over and over again. It's really hard to learn from someone if you don't experience a project with them. And so this is a really big initiative in Maryland. I think it's only going to grow. We're hoping that up to 2,000 young people will be part of the program every year at full. Three things that are on the horizon right now that are kind of contemporary issues out there. Number one is the red line. I'm sure a lot of folks have heard a lot of conversation about this and where it may or may not be. The governor made an announcement 3 months ago saying that we are moving forward with the red line again. It is unbelievably important that we figure out this east-west corridor. Right now what's happening is a review of the mode and the alignment. So as many of you will know, since 2015 when the prior red line was canceled, there's been a whole lot of development down Canyon and down in the area between Haven Street and where the red line previously was supposed to go up. And so the alignment is definitely going to be an issue, not just here, but also in West Baltimore a bit. And then there's a very real question on cost. So the tunnel, fixed rail, light rail was about a then $2.5 billion project. In today's dollars, it's around $3.5 billion. At the moment, the Transportation Trust Fund does not have revenues to support that type of project. This is a major issue that we have to figure out in the next 3 years. And so there is a review of what the project will be, whether it continues to have a tunnel or whether it becomes a surface line and what that alignment may look like with a surface line, be it light rail or a fixed BRT line. So the department is studying it. I know there's a lot of angst and anxiety. People want to know what it is. And the department hopes to have at least some early reports back by November. We've been pushing them that the longer it goes on with uncertainty, the harder it is to get this thing going. It's crucial.
In speaking to some Red Line folks, I know they did a series of public hearings over the summertime, including Hampshire Hill, and they said they're going to do some November, December time frame again. So we should expect an opportunity.
Yes, there's going to be a number of different open symposiums. The one was, I believe, was it Hampshire Hill? Yeah. There's going to be, I think this is the listening session phase, and then they're going to put out a recommendation of what might be feasible. And my guess is there was a prior environmental impact statement that was recorded by the federal government. So if that has to be restarted, it sets the project back probably 2 to 3 years. That's probably on the good side. So the department is trying to figure out what they can do and any changes so that they can maintain that record of decision at the federal level, so that we can all get federal money. It's just a very complicated changing alignment and keeping that decision in place. So that's what it is a top priority for the administration. And certainly we'll keep everybody posted as things move forward. The other issue I want to flag is the Baltimore Regional Water Task Force. I'm sure that you all have seen some of the news about the water system. DPW owns the region's water system. The city, we own the water system, but service the entire region, predominantly Baltimore County and Howard County. There have been some real challenges, largely around workforce, but also around infrastructure issues. And so there is a regional task force happening right now with members from the county and the city, with some other stakeholders, really trying to look at a governance model around water and wastewater here in the city and region to make sure that we can have a 21st century system. There's some huge challenges. And so I think I'm a deep believer in the power of regionalism. The city and county working together on this is the only way forward. And we hope to have at least some recommendations by the end of the year so we can take something up in session this upcoming January. Last thing I want to make sure that I touch on is juvenile issues, juvenile crime, young people, crime in general. Look, it's the thing that, your neighbor live right down the street at Linwood and Pratt. It is, if people don't feel safe, nothing else matters. It's fundamental, it's core. The real question is, how do you create safety? It's not just about doing the work of reducing crime, it's also about making sure that people feel safe. And both are a challenge at the moment, with signs of progress in some ways. I want to highlight this. There's been a lot of talk about young people, and certainly there's been an acute escalation of a particular subset of crimes involving young people. Overall, and this is the department just released last week a report about data overall, juvenile crime is down in all categories except for carjackings, non-fatal shootings, and homicides involving people under the age of 18. And that has increased since 2019 by about 180%. So the specific issue that is an enormous challenge is young people with guns. And I can't tell you how many conversations I have desperately struggled to say, this is what we have to do to fix this problem. This is one of the most complex and challenging things out there, and there is something cultural happening post-pandemic that is unbelievably acute. And I think you add on social media, you take access to guns that have become proliferate, they're all over the place. It's almost easier to get a gun than a cell phone these days. And you add in young people who are emotional, and what teenagers do, they make bad decisions. And so you put a gun in that situation, and it just makes everything worse. And so we have been having lots of conversations about a targeted approach for young people with guns. There's a new program that the department is launching called the Thrive Academy, which is targeting ideally up to 150 of the most likely to offend juveniles who are found in possession of a gun or who have previously been found in possession of a gun, and having a massive wraparound approach. Because what we know is that going back to the same environment in which that gun was acquired and utilized in the first place is not going to divert the behavior. So of course there has to be accountability when somebody commits a crime. From my perspective, at the end of the day, it has to be about diverting and stopping the behavior. It is young people making terrible, awful decisions and throwing them into a facility for 6 years until they turn 21 to come back out is not a solution. In fact, it exacerbates the whole problem, and it's part of the reason we got to where we are today. And so we have to hold those young people accountable, and we have to have programs that actually divert behavior. So I'm hopeful that this new Thrive Academy approach will have the type of resources. The Secretary of Juvenile Services is very highly focused on this issue and understands how important it is. But I know there's been a lot of other juvenile issues brought up in the news, from those charged under 13 to interrogations. I don't know if anybody's seen kind of reporting on that. Glad to talk about that more if anybody's interested, but won't dwell on it because I think some of it's a bit of a distraction from the very, very real issue of focusing on young kids who are carrying guns. That is the absolute, has to be the focus. That is the problem. And if we get distracted by all the other stuff, we won't actually solve that problem. So I don't want to end on a tough note. I will say something that I'm incredibly hopeful for. We've had a long 8 years before where Baltimore was a bit of seen as the stepchild. It was about defending what we had as opposed to really thinking about what we can be. I will say these last 9 months, I've been unbelievably humbled being part of conversations about what the city and region can truly be if we are maximizing our potential. I believe that we are in an unbelievable place. If you look at the assets we have, we just need the leadership and coordination and vision to really put things on the move. And so we have a governor who understands that, we have a comptroller who understands that, we have an attorney general who understands that, and the speaker and I and our colleagues in the General Assembly really know that the next 3 years are an absolutely critical moment for the city of Baltimore and the region. And so as we think about transportation, we think about downtown investment, finally figuring out this stupid Camden Yards issue, we just signed the lease, that's what I used to do. We will, we have enormous potential. And so I am very hopeful for the months and 2 years ahead where we have a chance to really take the leadership that understands the importance of Baltimore and how it impacts the entire state. And just thank you all for allowing me to be able to do this work on your behalf and with you. with that, any questions?
Is there a mechanism with Thrive that directs kids to it, or is it sort of dependent on their wanting to participate?
So it's similar to the gun violence reduction plan that the mayor has done in the Western District. That has there are certain categories and offenses or trends in the young person's engagement with the department that trigger the conversation, that essentially say it's accountability on, there's a serious consequence on one side, and then the opportunity for significant resources if another choice is made. And so by having that, and it's not just for the young person, it's for the guardian too. And I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges right now, is that for our kids that are at the deepest end of the pool, they have the highest barriers to success. And a lot of times a strong guardian unit is just, for one reason or another, not available. This is trying to help bolster that and use garner all of the resources of government around the supports that young person and that adult that is with that young person need to change the behavior. It's a test. We don't have evidence that it works yet. This is a new model, but we have to focus on the word of behavior today. And it's the rotation of in and out is just saving and crushing communities. Yeah, back then.
Are there any measures or new resolutions being proposed that relate to the health and affordability of food in Baltimore City and County, and also related to potentially healthcare affordability as well?
Yeah, many, in a variety of different ways, and there's some of the others. I went very quickly. It's always hard to capture a 90-day session. One of the things we did was escalate the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It started this year. It was supposed to take 18 more months, but given kind of record inflation post-pandemic, we know that it's hourly workers who are really feeling the crunch the most, and that escalating that move towards 15 is trying to deal with the issues of food security. I mean, at the end of the day, people just need money, and they need money and access. And I think minimum wage is one step. We also expanded the earned income tax credit. This was something that for our district in particular, especially for those who do not have a social security number, in Maryland, they are able to access their earned income tax credit, and that is helping to put food on the table. It is a significant investment for people who are working, but just above the poverty line. In terms of specific efforts, we're fortunate in Maryland to have a waiver system where private pay and, at least in hospitals, only in hospitals, it's private pay versus public pay versus undocumented and no insurance all have the same rates. We're the only state in the country that has this model, and it is up. This waiver, it's the Medicaid waiver, Medicare waiver, is up in 2 years. It's been a demonstration project that's shown that we have reduced healthcare by having a single cost in all hospitals for all services. So we are ahead of the curve when it comes to at least healthcare costs. That doesn't mean we're solving the problem, because anything outside of the hospital still is an enormous issue, including prescription drugs. So. This is something Robin has been an absolute champion. Robin Lewis is kind of front and center on this and has done a number of different policy initiatives to expand access to health care, but just because you have health insurance doesn't necessarily mean you have health care. And that's the link that we're trying to, or the hole we're trying to close at the moment.
I was just wondering if you could describe for me a little bit, what are the barriers to allocating more transportation funding to public transportation projects like the Red Line? Because when you talk about like the increased cost going from $2.5 billion to $3.5 billion, and that being a barrier that might drive, the Red Line, instead of being kind of what it was meant to be, like a bus line up on Monument Street or something like that. What are the barriers that prevent that extra billion from coming in? While, you hear about things like, or read articles that say, the state has allocated another $4 billion to add like 2 toll lines on I-495, and like public transportation continues to be like such a pittance in comparison to expanding highways and kind of building our city around cars.
So it's an excellent question. Two separate things. I'd say sort of the supply and demand side. On the supply side, you have 22% of our transportation trust fund comes from the gas tax. And the gas tax is indexed to inflation. However, as we've seen electric vehicles increase, we've started to hit a tipping point where now the gas tax is a diminishing return for the state transportation trust fund. So while it's great for the environment, we should continue to be electrifying. The single biggest driver of revenue for a transportation trust fund is a declining revenue source. That's one. Two is Maryland is unique because our transportation trust fund is all modes. It's state highway, roads, bridges, it's the Port of Baltimore, it's the airport, aviation, it's MTA, transit, and MDOT, our tolls and bridge tolled facilities. Tolls are a little bit separate, but we are one of the only states in the country, I think there's one other that has this model, and so it is a constant pressure about prioritization, and it depends generally, has depended largely on the gubernatorial administration in place, because the Department of Transportation has an enormous flexibility to allocate one project versus another. So, what are the challenges that we're running up against? The purple line, which is the line that's being built right now in the DC area, is roughly about $1.2 billion over budget. And there was just another request for another $200 million to cover overages there. WMATA, which we participate in with Virginia and DC, has a ongoing annual $750 million deficit. And so the administration just put $250 million in for the next 6 years to subsidize WMATA's ridership decline that's happened because of remote work and people not going in as much. So there are pressures on every angle at the moment. It's why this year we passed what we call the TRAIN Commission. It's the Transportation Revenues and Infrastructure Needs Commission. It's sort of this kind of blue ribbon commission of the top folks who are really trying to look at how do we prioritize expenditures over the next 10 years and what revenues do we need to sustain what a 21st century multimodal transportation system looks like. We won't have a report by the end of this year. It's going to probably be in 18 months. It'll be something for the 25 session. But we are kind of on a collision course when it comes to transportation, and investing in infrastructure in our transportation across the board, be it transit or roads and bridges or our airport and port. It is the fundamental bedrock of a strong economy. Transportation is what builds our economy at the end of the day, but you have to pay for it. And it's gotten a lot more expensive for every project, no matter what type of mode you're discussing. So that's the real pressure that we're feeling at the moment, that the government is really trying to, we are working alongside the administration to balance these different pressures. But when you pay $250 million for a model, it looks like an investment in transit, but it's not giving anything new. It is just running a current system. And so when we talk about a new investment in a new transit line, it's up against that $250 million deficit for an existing transit line. That's the pressures.
Along the same lines, for the red line, the decision between light rail and some sort of rapid bus system, is that exclusively a decision about because of cost, or are there other things that go into it? And then also, ultimately, whose decision will it be? And how much influence, if any, do state legislators have on that?
So I would say it is almost definitely a cost-based decision, and to the degree the record of decision can be upheld with whatever mode is selected. So question one is how do we keep the record of decision in place so we don't fall back 3 years and have to do a whole new environmental impact statement. Question two will likely be cost. And so, when we passed in 2013 the last gas tax, it was a horrible experience, but we did it because we thought that we were going to get the red line. That was the whole purpose of it. When the red line was canceled, that money was put into roads essentially in Eastern Shore and Western Maryland. So now we're back trying to rebalance the ship, and revenues have higher pressure. So who makes the decision? Ultimately, it's whatever MDOT applies for through the federal government. So it is an agency decision. Are there things that the legislature could do? Yes, but at the end of the day, it is an executive function. They're the ones that have to apply to federal DOT at the end of the day.
Bill, thank you for what you do. I'll give you credit for it, so I'm very thankful to have you with that. I would like to know if you have any, on the funding from the marijuana and gambling, is there any new updates on that, on as far as where is that money being funneled to?
By a lot of weed. No, money is flowing in from it. It is remarkable how much cannabis is being sold. And I sort of joke about it, but I sort of had guesses of what it would be. But I will say, that was a huge issue this last session. And, everyone was very concerned about what would happen in July 1st. Knock on wood, we've not had a lot of issues. Things are working well for the initial rollout. That was not the case in almost every other state that had legalized, and we tried to learn from a lot of their mistakes to set up the marketplace in the right way. So far, we're in a decent spot. New licenses are going to be issued at the end of this year, and it will be, that's where a lot of the rubber's going to hit the road of whether or not we were able to set up a system that allowed for more equitable access for people to participate in the industry. In terms of the revenues coming in, it is flowing. We just had a recent conversation with Brooke, who's the recipient of those tax dollars these days, and things are getting remitted at the 9% tax rate. It is more money than was expected. It's above projections, and so things seem to be moving along relatively well.
And the gambling part, what about the gambling?
Oh, sports betting?
Yes.
Sports betting has actually been kind of a small, I think we sort of anticipated it's been a pretty tiny fractional amount of money to the state. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 to $11 million a year, which I know doesn't sound like a little amount, but in a $62 billion budget, it is less, it has been less expansive than I think. It's just that it has not been a huge thing.
And I know you don't really have a hold on that quite yet, as far as the marijuana. I just don't want to hear on the news where our kids don't have heat. I don't want to hear that. Or AC or any of that.
Right.
Just hopefully the funds are getting to them where it's supposed to get to, and that's all we want, or that's all I want.
Absolutely. And look, to the city schools' credit, this AC issue has been so frustrating for so many people, especially those who are in the administration of city schools. We have old buildings and the electrical systems, and it's horrible to be in a building like right now. Ben Franklin in our district is the building is just barely holding it together. They have been moving faster to put AC in more buildings than almost any other school district in the entire country. With the age of the buildings that we have, it is just it's not a money problem, it's a capacity problem.
I think it's wonderful, but I want to know, how is the teacher shortage doing? What's the latest on that? Because if you have these great ideas, but not people who are qualified or really, have the capacity to implement it due to lack of training or certification, so it's just a concern, and I want to know how that's coming.
Yeah, look, when we did the blueprint, we did not expect a global pandemic, and certainly the challenge that teachers have faced and exhaustion and burnout is very real. In different parts of the state, it is more acute than others, but in the city, the school system has done a really great job of trying to hire quickly. Obviously, it's all new teachers for the most part, so you lose a lot of that experience after time, but it is a challenge. It is not an existential crisis. And so, the good news is, as the blueprint has come in, there's been a lot more flexible resources to bring in other supports in school buildings to help teachers kind of have additional resources. I guess it's probably a better answer, but the feeling is there. But overall, statewide, I think it is not as existential.
Right now, city schools teachers are working without a contract, so it will really depend on how those contract negotiations work out. We have agreed on several issues, except for teacher pay, and the Howard County, Baltimore County, they all have starting teacher salaries that'll be, if compared to the city schools best and final, the surrounding counties' salaries would be much higher for starting teachers, and so it could become an acute crisis depending on how those contract negotiations go. That's my take on both of this.
Is there any thought to the subsidizing of the houses, that the dollar a house that happened a while back, because that could also rejuvenate some neighborhoods too?
So housing is going to be a major topic for this upcoming session. It's going to be a major issue. Bill has been doing a lot of organizing around it. I mean, it's not just in Baltimore. Affordable housing is an issue writ large across the state. And so there's multiple parts of it. There's the vacant housing issue, there's the stabilizing neighborhoods issue, and there's kind of home ownership.
But to sweeten the pot for teachers to come, there's possibly a lower salary, but there's also some housing for you.
Yes. I mean, look, Miller's Court, which is in Remington, is an amazing example where they created a place for teachers to live. It's a semi-subsidized rent. I hate to do this. My son is calling from home. This is the second time he's called. Can I just check? Make sure everything's okay? They're home alone, so they're, yeah, sorry, that was a distraction, I apologize. Where were we? On,
we're talking about.
Miller's Court. Oh, yes, Miller's Court. If we have models out there, it's about one. I mean, it is just allocating dollars. I mean, that's truly, the affordable housing problem at the end of the day is a supply problem. We have to build more units there. I mean, that's just, it is, and it just costs.
Couple items, but I don't mean to beat a dead horse into the ground, but in terms of the red line, I don't see how you can justify it based on population density and the number of people that will be using the line. It's a financial boondoggle. That's number one. Number two, if you look at the diesel buses, at least running up and down South Highland here, I see sometimes articulated buses with 6 people on them. You could replace a couple of these buses with a limousine, a single limousine, so I think we really have to look at how we're spending the transportation money now before we go even to something bigger.
So there are definitely diverse opinions about this issue. I would say, I think our bus system is not, it is insufficient in comparison to any other global metropolitan area that is comparable to Baltimore. And one of the biggest challenges is the disconnection for more rapid lines. And so the subway and the light rail and the bus system are not interconnected. They are all independently piecemealed. And so we don't have a real system. We have individual lines. And that has been one of the biggest issues that has held our city and region back, is this lack of interconnection. I think the cost issue, you see it all across the globe. I was just in Toronto with they have a whole streetcar network there. It was incredible that it filled throughout the entire day, all over. If you have an efficient, safe system, people use it. If you don't, if you have an unreliable, inefficient system, people don't use it, except those who don't have another choice. And we have subsidized a transit system for folks who didn't have another choice, and that has been the way that the system has operated. And you cannot bring choice riders on with the level of inefficiency that we have today. And so we need something that is the interconnector between, that can help to bridge all of the individual lines and modes that exist. That's what, in my mind, is the key value of the red line, is to be that connective tissue. But certainly reasonable, minds can disagree.
Has the city or the state adopted any lean or agile processes?
I'm sorry?
Has the city or the state adopted any lean or agile processes?
I guess I'm not familiar. No, I mean, in what particular?
Those can pretty much be summarized in shortening the planning time frame for certain strategic things. such that you can iterate, such that you come
So like
up
design thinking and something like this sort of, yeah, right.
a mix of planning and doing.
Yeah. You know what, it depends on administrations, truly. I would say in prior administrations, I don't think that was a huge priority. I think that there are a lot of, I'm incredibly impressed by the secretaries that have come in under the Miller administration. There are some really talented folks that do it, that are running our labor department. I mean, really top-notch. Why I'm certain are bringing people in to challenge existing systems and think differently about how to create more efficient government. We're seeing it right now with the Department of Labor as we start to implement paid family leave. They're really trying to design a brand new system in a very short amount of time. And I think that they're using kind of best-in-class approaches to it. But I can't speak to specific individual programs or policies.
My thought was more along the lines of like, you know, there could potentially be a affordable option to trial certain modes of transportations or to refurbish buses, other vehicles, or so on and so forth for what potential routes like might be that could test sort of what you were talking about, data connectedness.
So we did just purchase and are deploying out of the Kirk Avenue Bus Depot electric vehicles, which is a brand new approach because they're quieter. They can run in varying lengths as opposed to combustion engines. It's not just the power that it uses, it will change the lines and how these buses will function on shorter trips. And so, you know, I think there are models of it. I wouldn't say it's at scale. Transportation systems are hard. You have to make, you know, 6-year investments. And so I think it's tough to try it with the amount of money that's involved and the amount of systemic change that's needed when you introduce a new mode. It's not a quick here or there. You're making decisions that last 50 years. I hate to do this, but I want to thank you all for your ongoing commitment. Please, please, please stay in touch. And I am so honored to do this work, and thank you for letting me do it.
All right, very briefly before we go, there is some news. Mark is going to bring us up to date on it regarding redistricting, and we'll be out. Thank you for your patience. We did get a late start. I always tell these guys, I tell them to try to keep it to 10 minutes, but if Q&A runs long, it's because people have questions. So that's how I take that. So anyway, Mark on redistricting, and then we'll be out.
So I'm just going to come out here so I can point to the map. I think folks at home, folks on Zoom can still hear me. So this was just released today by Mayor Scott and sent to the City Council. It initiates a 60-day review period. The City Council has 60 days to change, amend this map, vote on, approve it starting today. So that's why I want to make sure you looked at it now. We're in the first district, which is the red up there on the top right side. Essentially, so redistricting is driven by the census. This is the 2020 census, which was a long time ago, but this is the first city election that we've had the data for. And so state redistricting happened last summer. It was all called in courts. You probably heard all about it. This is just city council redistricting. We have 14 districts, and they have to have approximately the same number of people. So you take the whole city population, divide by 14, there's your magic number. You go up or down within it's like a 10% range, right? So to give someone more room. The main issue is that the first district grew significantly well, it was one of only 2 districts that grew, and it grew by a lot, and many of the other districts shrank, especially north of us in 12 and 13. You see there the orange and the light blue. And so we wound up with 53,000 people, and we had to get to 43,000 people. So we had to give away 10,000 residents to other districts in order to make sure, in order to have the principle of one person, one vote, to make sure everybody in the council, everybody in the city is equally represented in the city council. So we knew we were going to lose a good number of precincts. Each of those kind of rectangular strange shapes is a precinct. They have varying numbers of people, so that those aren't necessarily equal. The 3 precincts that we lost for population purposes, that we shared with the districts, Little Italy Harbor East, and the western side of Fells Point went up to the 12th district, which is a Robert Soos district, current Robert Soos district, that is like the east side of downtown, like inner, close in, west of Broadway, East Baltimore.
The 13th district picked up from us Upper Fells Point and Patterson Park north of Baltimore Street. So Baltimore Street to Fayette Street, East Avenue, Patterson Park Avenue is a huge precinct, tons of people, tons of voters. Really, I mean, it's our next door neighbors. And they're moving to the 13th district above us. So those three were the ones, that's really 10,000 people. I mean, if you're gonna, it's like we had to lose 3 and the 12th and 13th didn't pick them up because they were down a ton of people. So that's that side. The other thing that happened was we swapped. If you see the purple magenta in the top right corner, that's the 2nd district, which is all of northeast Baltimore. And it kind of sneaks down the right hand, the eastern edge of the city, and it used to, well, as of this moment, it includes East Highlandtown. So everything east of Conklin Street is in the 2nd district, and that's where the 2nd district stops. So it kind of goes down Conklin Street to Eastern Avenue, across Eastern Avenue to railroad tracks and up. That's been the case. Highlandtown's been like that since 2003, since the 2003 election. And so it's been 20 years that we've been divided between the 1st and 2nd district, and the mayor is proposing that we become one district again in the 1st district. It also shows us picking up, just north of that black line there is Elwood Park. So just across Orleans Street, between Orleans and Monument Street, East Avenue, and like the Conklin Street corridor, Highland Avenue corridor, we would pick up that little quadrant there as well from the 13th district to help balance out those numbers. What we're giving the 2nd district is, at least the proposal is giving out Bayview, so Bayview Hospital and like Anglesey, they call it the 80K Street, so Anglesey to Kane Street, plus Eastwood on the other side of 95, a little slice of what feels like Dunlop, but it's still in the city over there, north of Eastern Avenue. So everything north of Eastern Avenue, once you get past Greektown, would go into the 2nd district. So essentially we're swapping East Highlandtown, we're getting East Highlandtown, and it's roughly the same number of people as live in those 80K streets there in Bayview. So that's the swap. The mayor said publicly in his announcement that the goal there was to add a major city institution, maybe Bayview Hospital, into the 2nd district. Also, when Brandon was first elected, or early on, prior to 2010, when Brandon was first elected, Brandon Scott was first elected, Bayview was part of the 2nd district, and he said explicitly many times over the last year, I really want Bayview to be back in the 2nd district. So, guess who draws the maps? So that's what you have, right? So that's the impact. We have 60 days. If people have opinions, well, it's in the hands of the city council, so write to your council person. In our case, that's Mr. Cohen, or the council president, Mr. Mosby, or to any others. But I don't know how quickly the city council can take action on it or what they plan on doing with it. It was just introduced for them tonight. But it certainly has a big impact on Highlandtown and more broadly across Southeast Baltimore. So just want to make sure it's in your hands. Yeah.
Mark, you just mentioned it. I don't think I fully understood it about Bayview. Why are they with the District 2, or is you literally just mentioned it? I don't think I understood.
Yes. So I mean, there's all kinds of considerations that go into redrawing maps. The most basic thing is making sure the numbers of people are equal, and after that, it becomes a question of kind of what people want. And in this case, the mayor wanted Bayview Hospital and neighborhood to be included in the 2nd district. And Danielle McCrae, who represents the 2nd district, also has said, oh, nothing's a secret, right? She also said, hey, I'd really love to have Bayview in the district. And so that's the proposal. But yeah, that's the only, I mean, geographically, if I was to look at it, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because between Bayview and the rest of the 2nd district, there's a whole bunch of Herring Run Park, highways, railroad tracks, industrial zones. So it's not geographically or culturally connected to the rest of the 2nd district. But that was also true of East Highlandtown being, right, was in the 2nd district. And that's because back in 2003, Nick D'Adamo had a bunch of friends in East Highlandtown and one of those voters in this district, right? So that's why 20 years ago, Highlandtown got separated because of things like that.
Yeah. Any information yet about the impact demographically of the change to the 1st district?
I read those numbers today because I was curious. The 1st district would maintain what we already have, which is about 20, according to census data, about 20% Latino, and 65% white. And then remainder primarily African American, and then other groups. I didn't look or didn't see numbers immediately about what it does in terms of household
income or other measures. Certainly Little Italy, Harbor East, Harbor East, it's a very particular place. Upper Phelps Point and Patterson Park are very strong communities. Yeah, I mean, I was mostly looking because the baby districts are heavily Latino. And so I was curious to see kind of if that was diluting essentially the power of our Latino neighbors to be able to participate kind of collectively and make a difference in local elections. But because we added East Highlandtown and Elwood Park, which are also heavily Latino, at least in terms of the first district, that percentage didn't change. But I haven't looked at any of the economic numbers.
All right, that is it for tonight, unless last minute. Nope, cool. Thanks for coming out, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We did get a late start due to our technical difficulties, and I let Bill run on because people had questions for Bill. So, and this, of course, the redistricting is very important. Yes, Larry.
Artscape this weekend.
Artscape this weekend.
I'm volunteering. Actually, I'm approved the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I don't know where, but you'll see me everywhere.
It is such a good event. It's good to see you. Please come out to Artscape. You will have a good time. Bring your friends, bring your neighbors, bring your family. Thanks again, everyone.
I had a recommendation. If you're open to it, I went to knock on the door and saw the ball starting.
You had a question. If anything